Podcast, a light-hearted yet deeply reflective space where we humanize high achievers through informative conversations. We love to hear about positive South African stories, patriots who inspire us, especially those with whom we can share light-hearted moments. I'm TebZAR, a left brainer by day, a right brainer by night, and drawing out stories, lessons, and laughter from South Africa's most exemplary voices in business, media, sports, and the arts. Nompumelelo Mokou, our guest for today, is one of the most complete individuals that I know. A proud Sowetan from Deep Kloof, Zone 3, she's a passionate advocate for inclusive growth, a dedicated mother who believes in living with joy, leading a life with purpose, and making a positive impact on others. I can attest to the joyful part. Mpumi, you are an absolute free spirit. So happy to have you here. And I know this is going to be fun and very informative at that.
Yeah. No, thank you so much, Tabo. I think from the last time when you and I were together back in the Wits days and now, geez, what a ride.
We've come a long way.
What a ride.
Like 2 decades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So looking forward to the conversation, looking forward just to being here and sharing and being in the space.
Fantastic. It's a bright day. The sun is out. I love the background.
Yep.
It's spring. And we're hoping the conversation today, we spring out a couple of, notable messages for, the people watching. But one of the things is, my friend, I'd like to say thank you. You've grown. You haven't lost your humor. You haven't lost who you are. And that balance, you've maintained it. Life is just not about living. Yep. It's about having fun. Yep. at the same time. So yeah, just to kick start your life story, if you could just share with us, and those who don't know you, of course.
Alrighty. Also, firstly, thank you for inviting me. I don't take these platforms lightly. It's always a big space and a good space that you share. And if I can impact a life at a time, then that's my purpose. So life story. I'm born and bred in Soweto, as we've said. So I am from a family of 5. I am my mother's first and my father's second. Watsiba. I grew up so when we were growing up, my sister and I, the first 9 years we lived in the back room, Go Orlando. My parents were renting that back room, so of course we were part and parcel of everybody in the yard. So it meant that ideally I should grow up at my grandmother's house because back room is not conducive from a sustainability perspective. So I'm my grandmother's child. She doted on me, loved me. I was her second grandchild, and I was the first girl who was a grandchild. So she did everything for me. So I always hold her up as my superhero because she was someone who was from rural Northern Cape, traveled all the way to Johannesburg, lived through apartheid, and made it work with 6 kids, and not educated, from a family as Tebu, but I still found her as my superhero in everything that she did. So she was my first and second mother. I had my mother, but she was my other mother. So I grew up with those principles of strength, principles of resilience, and independence, that I must say, because in a household where you're all grandchildren, you need to know your place, you need to know how to lead, you need to know how to do things for yourself and for others. So I grew up with that very clear. My sister was born 3 years after me, and my sister is a very big story in our family. She was the miracle child and the life changer in the family. So when she was born, all the bones in her body were broken. My mother was told that, Mama, we don't know what's going on, but this child, all the bones are broken. We think that by the end of today, she'll be dead. Then the day ended, she still survived. Then they said, no, Mommy, by the end of the week 1, she still survived.
Sure.
They said, no, month So you can imagine for my mother and the trauma that you're waiting for this child to die,
Sure.
you know. And I look back now, you know, we laugh, we joke. It's 40 years later and she's still alive. But what we went through as a family was we went through the first 50 years of our lives, we were in hospital every 2 months, every 6 weeks.
Sure.
Because if she fell, she was broke.
Sure.
A leg was broke, something was broken.
Yes.
I couldn't play with her as a sister because I was so-called normal, which meant if we were playing and I pushed her, she would break.
Sure.
So that was the life we lived together. But despite that, I can tell you it was a family of love. It was a family eventually of prayer and spirituality, and a family of strength and good principles. Yeah.
And you know, your sister's story is quite fascinating. I think I met her roughly, you know, when I was 18. And I got immediately drawn to her because she has a wicked sense of humor.
Yeah.
And a very warm person. She's very, very warm. And 20 years later, you know, she's a comedian. She performs on stage, and this year she won an award at the Savannah
Yeah.
Comics Choice Awards.
Yeah.
It's such a miracle story, like you say.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. And I do think the biggest part of it is the family. You know, she always says, my joy and my strength is in the family. And it's exactly true. My mother, and I do think both my mom and my dad have their own stories. My mom was her parents' firstborn, born in the heart of apartheid. When she tells you the story of when they were moved from Sophia Town to Midlands, that whole situation, how it looked like, you know, we didn't in the history books. She experienced it. I remember we were at some conference, her and I, and they were sharing the pictures, and she said, when I look at that, I remember how traumatic that day was.
Sure.
When we were moved out of Sophia Town and were dropped in this place where we didn't know anything. My father is from Free State, from a small little town called Reeds. And his story of how, as a last born in the family and the last boy, he moved from this rural place in the Free State, came all the way to Johannesburg, and made a life. I also find it quite inspirational. And when he tells me the story about him and my mom and how they met, he said he saw her in the train, and immediately he knew this is the love of my life, you know? So all these things for me have been quite instrumental, and they showed a story of survival and resilience that, you know, through life you have to fight through it. There's no success without sacrifice. You have to give up something to achieve what you want.
I'm glad you also spoke about your grandmother. The role our grandmothers played, you know, these are actually in essence our superheroes. You know, my grandmother, you know, in Zone 7, Sebokeng, you know, when we moved out of Sebokeng as a family, we came this side. But, you know, the holidays and every weekend I could get, I looked forward to going to Sebokeng because Sebokeng was a happy place and it was an empowering place, you know. And one of the things is, you know, she passed away also about 20 years ago. And I did myself a big thing by, you know, taking a picture, you know, where we were together and blew it up and framed it, and it's in the living room in the house. You know, you know, sometimes I'll be staring at that picture and, you know, my wife would say, you're really fond of your grandmother. And I tell my wife, you know what, the happiest moments in my life when I look back, she was actually there.
Yeah.
And every time I see her, I feel strength. And as much as she's left 20 years ago, she's still with us because, you know, this is an ancestor that has done so much for me.
Yes.
And all that they did with the limited resources that they had, it kind of makes you beg the question: how much more could we do for our kids? For those surrounding us,
Yeah.
with the resources that we have compared to what they had.
No, I agree. I agree. I mean, one of the things that I remember about my grandmother, when I think I was 3, it was at the height of the police raiding the townships. So my uncle was one of the comrades, right? So as it is in the family, the youngest uncle is the one that takes you to and from your daycare, go crash. So on that particular day, apparently he went and fetched me. And on the way, the hippo passed.
Yes? Yeah.
So uncle said, no, stay there.
Hey.
Bloma net there. So apparently I stood there from whatever time it was when he picked me up until about 7 p.m. at night. And how I was found, somebody was passing through and said, Nana, where do you stay? And I was able to tell them exactly where I stay, what's the telephone number of the house, street name, everything, and the surname of the family.
Sure.
And they said, oh, you are so-and-so and so-and-so family. Great, let's take you home.
Wow.
And I remember they showed me the route of, if there's tear gas from crash to home, you take this route going home. Don't take this route, because this route is not going to be safe.
And this 3 years.
I was 3 at the time. But this tells you the life that we live in the township. That these people are not from my same street, but because of, I was taught you must know your telephone number, your street address, surname, and then whoever finds you will be able to know you are so-and-so's sister from, that communal life for me was quite big about how we lived in the township that I don't see today.
Yeah.
But cut long story short, I do think the upbringing and the atmosphere of the 80s was a big catalyst to how I see life today, how I see business today, how I believe in impact. Because I know what the 80s looked like. I know what pre and post democracy looks like. I know how the post 2000 looked like, that journey. And when you have someone being born today, like I've got a 3-year-old today, I said, God, but why give me a child now when the world is so tough? Mm-hmm. But I understand that we all have to go through these transitions in life,
Mpumi, your parents, if you had to say thank you to your parents, for giving you the type of background, that they gave you, what would you thank them for?
I would thank my father for being strict. My dad used to walk into the house and the first thing he'd say is, Upumpumi. And it used to annoy me. But I'm grateful because my dad made sure that I knew that I'm his heart. He made sure. And he made sure that whenever he gets home, he knows exactly where I am. So I always say to him, I'm grateful for that. My mom, I'm grateful to her for illustrating what humbleness means. She always used to say to me, there's times when you don't fight with noise and shouting, you fight with silence, and you fight with being humble. She taught me that, and I'm always grateful for that specifically. And thirdly, my third point would be they instilled and sacrificed a lot for my education. My father, during our vet days, and I don't know if you remember, I didn't stay at the res, but my father made sure that at 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m., he'd come and pick me up. If he wasn't in town, a friend of his would pick me up. So they sacrificed a lot for my education, for where I am today. Yeah.
Sure. And if I were to answer that question for myself, my mother is a teacher, and a commitment to education, we could see it in the house. It helped us because we always had books lying around. And what we found, when you immerse yourself in books earlier, you're able to relate to concepts in class a lot easier. So that family setup, it kind of like sets you up for success. And my father, was somebody who's involved in the community, and he showed us the role of not sitting back, not being seen. You have to be seen in the community. You have to do your part. And those are among one of the many lessons that they've given us. And these lessons you only understand when you're older, how impactful those are.
Yeah.
The family nucleus is so important to the success of and significance of of us as individuals. When we navigate things like the corporate world.
Yeah.
You love basketball.
Used to. You can see now I don't love basketball.
You always had a ball. We was the only person on campus working with a basketball. And now you're into golf now.
So can I tell you the story about basketball now? So I was always afraid of playing sport because I knew that cultural stuff I was good at. I could debate, I could sing, that I could do in my sleep. Now came the vert days and I had this yearning to play basketball. I have the height, I have the ability to learn, So my first year was a beginner, all beginner. And I remember the first 3 months I was a joke in the team because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to bounce the ball. But I can tell you, I went from being a beginner in the second team to being a starter in the first team. And all of that was, as you're saying, I became the ball. I became the sport. I looked the part.
Textbook in one hand.
I made sure that if today we're practicing, my mind from the morning, I am basketball. I play basketball. So it helped. It helped a lot. I did get a lot to it. Today I play golf. Not as good as my basketball days because now I'm a mother, I'm a person, I'm a what. Then I was just a student. But I can tell you the golf thing, where it came from. I used to be part of at the Dimension Data, we used to organize the Pro-Am, which is one of the largest and well-known golf tours in the country that joins amateurs and pros. And that particular golf, it's 5 days of sitting with CEOs, their partners, and they're playing golf the whole day. And I remember one of the days when I was on stage, I said, I promise I'm going to play golf. So that when you say fairway, par, I know what the heck you guys are talking about. And birdies and eagles. And, So, but what sold golf to me, after I became a mother, I realized that I had not enough time to myself. Someone said to me, when you go and play golf, it's 18 holes and 5 hours by yourself. I was like, what? By myself? Nobody else is there? It's me and the ball? And I was sold because I just realized that I didn't have time for me, time for thinking, time just to laugh and do nothing. And I can tell you now, with the ladies that I play golf with, I don't know them for a bio soul. We don't talk about shop. We get there, we tee off, we take pictures, we do funny things, we dance. And by the time I go home, the stress is relieved. I am tired, I'm haggard, I'm dusty, but I had fun for 5 hours. So that's what the golf is apart from. Basketball was too intense.
Yes,
it's for young people that don't have pains in the knees. Over 40, you've got pains in the knees, pains in your back, pains in your arms, pains everywhere.
Life doesn't start at 40. It gets real.
It gets real at 40. Yeah.
And in the last podcast, we actually spoke about, the importance of me time for your mental health.
Yeah.
And I can imagine with golf, you've got trees, you've got the lawn.
You don't want the trees.
You are
you
one
do
of the
not
nature.
want the trees. you don't want the rough lawn either. You just want the green, and you just want to go straight.
Exactly.
Can I tell you the one thing about golf, ne? And guys that play golf, you know this. The last time I played, my first tee, I always botch up the first tee. Always happens. I'm not warm enough. And then I tee off very nicely. I'm 200 in. I'm like, it's beautiful. It's a par 5. And then I get somewhere, and then something happens, and I throw the ball by the trees. And then when you try to get out the trees, it's the trees.
And you can't just pick it up with your hand.
No. So the one thing that I love about golf, it's the lessons that you learn. You can play a nice hole, and you can play 17 terrible holes. You can play the first 5 is good, then the next 6 is terrible. But the point is you're gonna finish. You're gonna play, you're gonna finish, you're gonna even cry. There's a time when I was using my wood, and I was meant to go straight. I missed this ball 3 times, Tebogo. I was told, Sisi, go drink some water. Sit down, drink some water, because, you know, and I think that's what I equate the golf to life. Life doesn't go the way you want.
Yeah, it doesn't.
I yearned to be a mother for 12 years. Yearned, struggled, did everything, yearned. We gave up, or I gave up personally, on the 16th of August 2020. 2 years later, I became a mother. It was not my plan. I would have loved to have had a 13-year-old by now, because, you know, but I think that's what golf keeps teaching me. Even in business, you want to have a great year, good profits, and Trump happens.
Yeah.
You know?
You got trumped.
and you have to then just move and flow and get past it, because it's life.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I'm learning, the lessons. Some things you think you're going to get it right, but you become your own block. You know this thing when they say get out of your own way? Sometimes you need to understand how to get out of your own way, because sometimes the way you think, the way you see things, the way you keep having doubts from the past, you block your own way of moving forward.
So you can actually draw a lot of parallels between sport and the workplace.
Yeah.
You know, basketball, golf. How do those, you know, attributes, skills you develop, end up assisting you with the work that you do specifically today?
Yeah. So the parallels that I draw, if I look from my entire career, the time when I was an auditor or in the audit space, especially in the articles, I had to learn about, today I call it the chessboard move, but I had to learn about networking in a very tactical way. Networking is not about talking to everybody in the room. It's not about talking to you, Rob, Carl, It's about connecting. And connecting for something that makes sense. And golf, I think, is good for that. We might start the game not knowing each other, right? And we won't know each other, but we were going to have times when we're going to laugh at each other. Times when I'm going to be very angry with you because you're playing too slow or too fast, or just something about you is irritating me right now. But we're going to get through it, right? And by the time you get to the 18th hole, we've connected. I think that's what work is about. That's what corporate is about. That's what running a business is about. You and I being here today, we connected donkey years ago, right? And that connection is still alive, even though we have not seen each other in a long time.
Yes.
The connection is there. That's what sport teaches you.
Yes.
You connect, you learn how to connect, and you learn how to be vulnerable.
Yes.
In that connection as well, in the right times.
Yes.
That's one. I think the second one that I've had to learn, if I go past my audit times and into the time when I was in business, it was the joy of having my own time to do my own things and the pain of not having money. Because sometimes you don't have the money for whatever you want to buy in the golf, the clubs that you want to buy, the wood that you want to buy, but you're going to do it anyway, right? The other thing I think that's quite important, if I go past there, is knowing when to change strategies, right? In golf, you need to learn that whatever sport you're playing, when do you change the tact? When do you use something different? When I went from being in audit and went into IT, I intentionally sacrificed and went into a lower position because I said, I don't know this industry, but I'm willing to change.
Yes.
And when I said yes, a friend of mine said to me, do you want to be a square peg in a square hole or a square peg in a round hole where you can fit yourself? That's what I've had to learn from sport as well. Sometimes it doesn't make sense. Sometimes it doesn't work, but it will make sense by the time you get to the green. You right? So those are things that I think we can learn from sports. There are a lot of parallels. You need time for yourself. You need time to scream. You need time to shout. You need time to laugh. Mm-hmm. And you can get that in your work, in the sport, in everything in life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know when you say that, I think playing sports also helped you, progress a lot quicker in the corporate world, because you have a very decorated career, and it all happened in a very short space of time.
It did.
You know, you became audit partner, and you were looking at the next thing.
Yeah.
You moved on from that. You ended up leading one of the most recognizable brands in the IT space.
Yeah.
And now you've got an interesting role at Business Leadership South Africa.
Yeah.
But if I were to get asked, where does all of this come from? You struck me as one of the people back then who knew absolutely what they wanted. I remember you shocking me. She had just qualified to be a chartered accountant, and that's a long road. And hardly 2 years after that, she said MBA. I wanted to do MBA. I was so shocked. I was so shocked. But you always had this idea that from here, this is where I moved to. How did that help you with progressing in your career so quickly?
So I must say, man makes plans and God makes them happen. So although I had all these plans, my initial plan, and I think when you and I were talking back then when we were still skinny, was I wanted to be audit partner. That was my big dream. I want to be audit partner. I want to be CA and be recognized. I remember when I qualified, I had this funny thing inside that said, okay, and then what? You qualified and then? Are you changing the world? No. When I sign the ESCOM pack, am I changing the world? No. And I had this hole that said, but Sisi, you've been going for this thing, but it's not fulfilling you,
yes.
Right? When I did the MBA finally, I was so glad I did it.
Yeah.
Because my plan was PhD all along, to say CA, MBA, PhD, I had all those plans. And I'm glad that I did it at the right time because it helped me move from accounting and audit into IT. And I suppose the other part, the planning was always a big part of me. I can tell you when I was doing my MBA, I remember I wrote an essay about leadership, and I said, I felt like when I moved from what I knew, which was the accounting audit space, I was grounded. When I went into IT, it felt like I was a vase that had been broken into pieces.
Sure.
And I didn't know how to put myself back together. But I think I needed to be broken into pieces so that I can understand where life was going. What needed to happen differently, how to reset my mind and reprogram my mind about the future of where the world was going. And that's what shocked me when I was in the MBA. I said that there was someone who was sharing a video about what they did at work. And he shared a video about the Tour de France. And Tour de France, the cycling, how they do the data analytics, all things that they were doing. I thought, hang on. If you're telling me that you're using tech to understand who will win the Tour de France, and there's data, there's all these things, helicopters, and it was a lot that they were explaining about this Tour de France thing. I thought, but hang on, my job is not that interesting. My job, I go in the office, I talk. I'm like, you do this. My job's not that interesting. And I also felt I lacked impact, right? Uh-huh. So yes, I had all the plans, but I do think what helped me pull through the plans was my ambition. Mm-hmm. It was my curiosity, it was my desire for impact and my desire to always remain relevant in everything that I'm doing. And that's why, I joined DD as a senior manager in finance. Within 5 years, I became the MD of the organization. Not because I was smart or what. I think it was just that impact story kept on being my key theme. And also this thing that you spoke about the sports. I knew how to connect with people at their level, be relatable, understand you, see you, so that by the time we move to the next place or the next job, I'm not an unknown. We've been moving together, understanding each other together. So I think that the plan had to be layered with different things so that it could come to fruition. I didn't think it was going to be this quick, but
Yes,
it was,
yes.
yeah.
Wow. This, the vase, you felt like the vase that's been broken and you needed that. At that point in time, you must have felt hopeless.
Yeah, I did.
And what's like the best thing to do, in your career when you get to a point you wake up in the morning and the energy is not there. But of course you're an adult. Adulting requires you to show up.
Yeah.
But you do the work, you go home, the energy is not there.
Yeah.
How would you encourage people to deal with hopelessness and bringing back that energy into what they do?
What you're doing. So I'll say it was two things. Someone said to me at the time, a fellow colleague said to me, your biggest point of success in this organization will be you determining for yourself two things. How long you will be in this struggle, and when do you then pivot into something that you enjoy? And what does that point of inflection look like for you? Because you need to accept you're going to go through the pain. You're new, it's a new position, new industry, new everything, and you're doing your MBA at the same time. So you're going through a lot of pressure all at the same time. So you're going to go through the pain. The question is how long you're going to go through it, and can you stomach that period of pain? And once the period is done, what does that inflection and the pivot look like for you? And when you then look aside in the new path, what does that build up look like for yourself, and how do you move forward? That was the first thing. And second thing, I had a very good mentor. The current AG, Tsakani Malulega, was my mentor from when I was in articles. I must say, Tsakani took me through a lot. She was sharing a lot, and she exemplified humanity in leadership. And I mean, even how she started becoming my mentor, she became a mentor to me when I didn't even know what mentorship was. I was like, this woman, why is she WhatsApping me?
It wasn't formalized.
Like, why is she WhatsApping me? She would WhatsApp and say, Happy New Year, Happy Christmas, Happy Birthday. I'm like, Patron, what is going on? What am I supposed to say here? Because, we have this fear of, I don't know, this person, who are they? But she really exemplified leadership to me in a way that it was tangible. I could relate very well to what I saw her do, how I saw her leading, how I saw her relating to everybody in the office and to fellow people around, across different places. It was never about the title, but about the human first. And I think that was a key pillar for me around how I navigate. And when I was going through that time of my shatteredness, she said to me, if you decide that you're going to leave and change right now, what are you going to do? I said to her, I don't know. Where are you going to go? I don't know. So you don't have a plan. You don't know where you want to go, but you know it's time for change. I said, yes. She said, okay, fine. The best thing to do right now is stay put. Stay put, go through it. And then when you've got a plan about what the next looks like, then you can start actioning certain things. But as right now, you're just uncertain. And you're in this funny place where you're not stable. You're just going to act out of emotion. So stay put, ask questions, figure yourself out before you do your big next. So that's how I survived that stage in my life.
Sure. So the need for a long-term plan, this question you always get asked, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And a lot of people don't even see themselves in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That question is so important because it helps you navigate. You'll always have distractions, always, all the time. But your long-term plan then starts helping you invest yourself so that you get there.
Yeah.
Once you've got an idea of what it looks like, and this is the vision part, that is a very empowering feel.
Yeah.
Because you feel like I'm working towards this image, I can see it, I'm going there. Your investment in yourself, can you tell us, do you know of any distinct moments in your life where you said, you know what, I'm investing myself here for this next role?
My biggest investment was the MBA. That was my biggest investment. The MBA was mind-opening, mind-boggling, mind-shifting. You know this thing with CAs, and you'll know it. CAs have got this thing that I'm a CA, I've arrived.
Yeah, but they have arrived.
They haven't arrived anyway.
They have.
No. So the MBA for me helped me to frame that notion of the CA is a tool. It is not the ultimate. It's a tool to a destination. The MBA is tactics, right? Because you've got the syndicate, right? We all know different things. We're all good at different things. You will suffer if you want to work everything by yourself. You'll suffer. But if you work through others and empower yourself through others, you get further ahead. So that for me was the biggest investment. I remember I became class rep of our MBA class that first week we started. There was a question that was asked by one of the professors about what is truth, something along those lines. And I said, truth is purity. And he said to me, brilliant. I think that moment, everybody was like, yeah, this girl is brilliant. Yeah. I don't know, but it gave me brownie points.
You didn't know where
when it was brownie points, I was like, yeah, enough for days. So I became class rep, and I remember the biggest learning in my class rep phase was choosing syndicates. The first year we were told where to go. The second year we were told to choose for ourselves. And we had this big debate as a class and as a cohort around how we chose the second group. I landed in a group of Namibians, and I think I was the only black person in that group, right? And others was all white, all male. Others was different things. And I remember having to talk to the class about, because everybody was saying no, some people were saying let's just undo everything and ask the school to do it for us again. And I said, guys, let's take a moment to pause. We're adults, 1. 2, we all joined this thing for different reasons. I don't know why Tebogo was in the MBA, and I can't force my opinion on Tebogo just because I want Tebogo to have whatever I think diversity is. And 3, if you believe that as the 5 of you, you look the same, you think the same, you will get the best out of what you want to do, that's your problem. I can't impose that on you. And I had to write all these key points around how I saw it. Others saw it as a cop-out, but I said, but this is how I think we must think as adults. There's never a place where I'm going to influence or I'm going to control how you think just because I feel a particular way. Where we can talk about things and correct them as if it's wrong and unfair. But if it's up to your choice and you are allowed to do what you need to do and you're not breaking any rules and you're not hurting anybody or damaging anybody, we need to let you move on. It's your choice. If you run short, it was your choice and your consequence. So I do think for me the MBA was my biggest learning. Funny story about the PhD. So I was going to do a PhD 2 years after the MBA. And I went into this international open day. The first thing they said in that open day, they said, please be aware, when you do a PhD, you won't change the world. I dropped the phone. was like, what? I won't change the world to PhD.
What
200K
do
later.
they mean by that?
They said no. so the reality is this. When you do research, it doesn't mean whatever you're researching will change the world. You are adding to knowledge of the world.
Yeah.
Whatever you're doing, maybe you're researching about Anga's solar and new energy sources.
Yeah.
It's good, it's great, it's amazing, but it won't change the world system. But in my head, I thought PhD will change the world. And I think when they said to me, just note, whatever topic you choose, you will not change the world. I thought, I think it's okay. I'm not doing this PhD. It's too expensive anyway. I dropped the phone. but I still have aspirations. They're not as big as before. I think one day when I'm ready.
I like that, because you literally, developing yourself with an end goal in mind. And that is being solutions thinking based.
Yeah.
Which is a very good thing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's not like that with everybody. I certainly wouldn't do a PhD if it's not sponsored. 200,000 rand. That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of time.
And a lot of time as well. Yeah. So, however interesting, the Google guys that literally came up with Google, they were PhD students, but whatever they did in class, they then deliberately said, we're going to apply this. And then it obviously became such a commercial
just like
success.
Nespers, they did the MBAs somewhere in the US, and they came and multi-choice was created.
Sure, and Nespers is a huge beast, Market cap, massive.
Massive.
Wow. And would you say that you've gotten to a point where you've aligned purpose with your work?
I'd say yes and I say no. It's not perfect yet. I do think I'm intentional with my purpose. I've always said I want to be a servant leader first, and I want to ensure that I lead with impact. So one of the things that I enjoyed at Dimension Data immensely, there used to be the Saturday school program, well, it's still there, that had been a staff-created initiative. And every year when I was in the graduation program and just listening to the stories, we had children or young learners from township schools who were achieving 100% in mathematics in matric. I was like, what?
Jeez.
And when they started, they were like at 40%. And by the time they get to matric at 100%, I'm like, I had no aspirations of 100% when I was in matric. I had no aspirations. But these young people, just when you listen to them and you hear them, their average is 95% for everything. And where they started, where they are from, how they are learning, how they are studying. Aye, guys.
Phenomenal.
And that for me was purpose. I remember there was the last one that I was in and I spoke. The principal of one of the schools in Doopsloot said, to us, when a child achieves 50%, we think they're brilliant. I was like, 50% is brilliant. They're like, this child is brilliant. So and he was explaining what the program has done for his school and surrounding schools in the area, because he said, you picked 5 kids from our school. Those 5 kids have been able to influence their class because now the standard is higher. Now they can show that we can do better. Now we can have the whole of the matric class passing in matric because of this program. Just the 5.
Sure.
Just the 5. And he explained how when they all come together and they find the schools in a rot, what they have to deal with, and how this program not only helps with studies, but helps with the EQ side and the leadership side as well.
Sure.
So imagine now if we have these programs at a large scale, what can we do and what will we achieve?
Yes.
So I don't think we can divorce purpose, leadership from each other. And I think also life is about purpose. How do you, when you die one day and you look back and they say Tebogo lived to do what? Lived to achieve what? You can have all the money in the world, but if it didn't impact anybody, it's a life not well spent. That's what I think.
And on the podcast, we like to give people their flowers while they're still alive. Is there anybody that you'd like to say thank you, the biggest influence on your career, and maybe not just the career, but you as an individual overall, outside of the parents, of course?
Yes. The first one is definitely Tsakani. Tsakani, sure, she came at a point. Maluleke, yeah.
Yes.
She came at a point in time in my life where I didn't know much, and she literally amputa, right, for lack of a better term, amputa, and helped me and guided me, as green as I was. The second person, Wolfgang Gubani. When I left the Big Four, I left EY, I went on my own. Wolfgang Gubani and I met in one of the conferences. I was a young, green-eyed, ambitious person who said, I'm building a business. He listened to me, said to me, come join me, come with your clients, let me help you. And he gave me a chance to be in a place where they had over 20 years experience, other directors, and he saw me as a next CEO to succeed him already as I was coming in. So that part was incredible for me. So both of them I would like to give flowers to. And the third one, I suppose, is Verena Kap. Kapi, yes, today is the CEO of Alton, but Kapi, shucks, I can say a lot of things about Kapi.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks to him.
Fantastic. Could you tell us about your leadership story at Dimension Data, and what did you find out about yourself being in such a hot seat?
Firstly, nothing prepares you to be a CEO. you can think.
Not even an MBA or CA.
Bona, just. So the day when I said yes to the job and signed, and the next day when I saw the numbers, I was like, yo.
Whatever.
Bengiyapi moyo ngcwele, bengiyapi.
What have I done?
What did I do to self? That's how I felt, right? And I remember there was a time when I was very anxious and I was shaking because I could tell that what needed to be done was very hard. And I didn't know if I had the courage, firstly, to do it. I think what was most hard for me was I kept getting asked this question by journalists, what is your vision for the company? I'm like, right now, it's just for the company to make money. Can we just make money? And then I'll talk about the other big things.
That's a very good vision.
I was like, can we just make money and make our profit? I'll talk about everything else as a vision.
Yeah.
So even be able to be clear as a leader about what is your vision, even if there's crisis, even if you have to retrench, even if what is your vision? What do you want to achieve during your turn as a leader? It's very important to be able to articulate. The other thing that I also learned was about teams. I know that I've always thought I'm good at building a team, but I think it's different when you're building a senior management team. The higher you go, you're dealing with very seasoned people. They come with all their different things and all that. Being able to lead them effectively is very important. And it's not easy. And it's lonely at the top. That statement is true. You don't know when to be vulnerable, not to be vulnerable. And I can tell you a lot of stories, but that's what I learned. Yeah.
And of course, I hear a lot of CEOs, seasoned CEOs says, one of the best decisions they took is to surround themselves with people smarter than they are. Because at that level, it's not necessarily about, what's the best idea that you can come up with. You need to build an ecosystem that allows all stakeholders to thrive. And the best way to do that is this burden that you carry is to then, share it with other people who are perhaps even more seasoned than you. And yeah, I think that leadership, kind of approach, it really helps to make that burden a lot easier. You then went to business leadership essay. That sounds like a job that is very interesting. Any interesting stories from that angle?
So before BLSA, I did take a year off, just to reset, to rest, and I suppose heal. And then I went to BLSA. And how BLSA happened, I met Busi whilst I was CEO. And I remember there was this meeting where we were all talking about the network industry in South Africa: energy, transport, logistics, crime, and justice. And there was a speech that was spoken, I think it was Adrian Gore who spoke about, as business, we cannot afford not to get involved. We cannot afford not to intervene because this is our country, it's our South Africa, and we can't sit back and just look. And I remember sitting in that meeting thinking, this is so right. And by the time then I joined BLSA, I think it was off the back of that, that I understood that business's role in South Africa is not just that of making money, but it's a role of intervention. But you need to intervene understanding the problem, right? And BLSA sits at the heart of understanding that. So when I went to BLSA, Busi said to me, what are you doing? What is your next? I said to her, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I want to do. I don't know. He said to me, well, Nompumelelo, you can't sit back and do nothing. Come to BLSA. I said no for 2 months. I thought, what? Advocacy, yeah. And then I joined. And my first meeting, I remember we were at Minister of Basic Education, Siviwe Kharube. And she was sharing her 5 points that she's focusing on in her 10 as minister. And I thought, hey, boo, people are there most that want to get this country going.
Yeah.
And then I
went...
The
will is there.
The will is there, intention is there. Then I went to... one of her directors was doing a workshop over 2 days around a pillar of mother tongue-based education. And when they unpacked that, I was like, what? People are there in this country who are academics and thinkers that are doing these core things. And I've been criticizing from afar, So that's why I joined BLSA. I joined BLSA because I wanted to understand the inner workings of our country from a policy perspective. B20 that is happening, B20 that's happening this year, what's that? What does it actually mean? I wanted to also understand, when we say business intervenes in what? To do what? For what outcome? So that's how I joined. I'm currently the executive of policy and marketing, things I've never done before, but I'm really enjoying. Eye-opening. We get involved in good conversations, big conversations, mind-boggling conversations about the country, about where we're going, about reforms, things I didn't know existed.
Yeah. Corporate South Africa, and we use that as a collective term, is sitting on piles of cash, not investing in the country. How then do we expect foreign direct investment to trickle when the custodians of the local economy are not investing? And the reason being put forward is the environment, the policies are not clear. How do we then hold people like yourself working in this space accountable to say, we've been having this discussion for the past 7 years, policy clarity. At which point does that get sorted so that we can kickstart the economy with investments and we can have job creation? Unemployment just this week ArcelorMittal
Yeah.
is retrenching 3,500 people.
Yeah.
Ford, they're laying down 475 people. So there's a massacre in terms of, employment being decimated. But we as citizens are not hearing the right things and are not seeing it yet. But, you say there's a lot that's happening in the background.
Yeah. Sure. When I was reflecting on this question, the first question I asked myself was, in an economy that's been somewhat stagnant for the last decade, can we really say that business is holding back on cash? Okay, I know that there's been research done by Intellidex and different people, at different points. Last week, this week, we were talking to investors foreign investors talking about the same conversation. They said, we can see investment is coming now, but it's still slow. I do think the premise, maybe let's start with the context of South Africa, right? Our context as a country is that our ROI and growth has not been there. Compared to our counterparts, compared to Kenya, now compared to even Namibia. Namibia is actually currently surpassing us when it comes to logistics, because you can actually ship stuff from other countries through Namibia to South Africa. And Mozambique is now starting to do that as well because of our transport and rail
Infrastructure
issues, right?
Yeah.
So I do think where business is sort of in the wait and see, the political environment has been quite volatile. I do think that GNU has brought about some stability and some renewed business confidence. 2 days ago, the Bureau of Economic Research released the Business Confidence Index. It's meant to be an average of about 42, neutral at 50. It's at 39.
Sure.
Because the confidence from business around South African landscape dissipates every now and then because of what you mentioned. The political instability every now and then, although I think now we're a bit settled with the GNU, the prediction is that GNU will be okay. Okay, I don't know for how long, but will be okay. And as long as it is okay and it's ticking the boxes that we want to see, I think we'll be fine. The next part is the whole lack of policy clarity. I do think the red tape part comes into play as well. That's why we have so many reforms that are coming into the fore now. The first 3 reforms that Operation Vulindlela worked on was energy, transport logistics, crime and justice. Ne? Or I might get the third one wrong. But where business has been working quite significantly and investing has been in correcting and intervening. Whilst you're correcting and intervening, how do you then pivot and invest when you're still trying to fix? If I look at what I'm seeing, there's a lot that's been asked between government and business and all the social compacts around let's intervene, let's fix. And the main ones around this network industries, which is the energy, transport logistics, crime and justice. Now it's water that's coming to the fore. Government is coming to the fore as well. I do think that's, for me, what we started with as the base and foundation of the story. Our economy is not growing. Yes, we're in a primary surplus position, but we're still in deficit. We've had lack of confidence in the ANC, which we shouldn't take lightly. And I think business has been quietly trying to understand where the country is going, especially post-COVID. We saw it when I was in IT, the trend of wait and see happened in 2021, 2022, where people were waiting to see, is this going to pan out or not? Now we're in the age of AI and everything else. I think now we're coming back to the investment again. I do think where we will see a lot more traction is an infrastructure space, because now of the 1 trillion that's been spoken about in the SONA, we will start seeing some triple Ps coming out of there. But again, what will help fast track this whole thing will be the reforms being accelerated. It make it easier to do business in South Africa.
Yes.
Look at the fourth example that you just made. So I'm in the board of AITF, the Automotive Industry Transformation Fund. I was astounded to learn that when it comes to vehicle production, we sit so far in the line in the global stats. We are very much, I think we're number 26 or 27.
Is this from a productivity point of view?
Production perspective. China leads the globe by over 10,000 cars per year. It's lots of cars. Then it's US. They are about 3,000. I don't remember how many cars, somewhere there. And then it's either someone in Europe. No, I think it might be Japan. I forget. But we are way, way, way low there.
Yeah.
If you look at the auto industry just by itself, you've got the Automotive Industry Master Plan. You've got the traditional OEMs. You've got the Asian cars. There's so much happening in that space that shows you why Ford is where it is. You had recalls from Ford. 2 cars were recalled by the Consumer Goods Commission. So much is happening in that space. So I do think business that's traditional is under siege in some spaces. But also the environment in the country is not helping. If you look at the numbers, business contributes about 12 billion in CSI. Almost half of that goes to education every year. Business contributes about 11 billion to the YES program and other youth programs. Business contributes just under 150 billion to BEE and everything under BEE. What's the other numbers? There's so many numbers that we don't get to see around business, what business is actually doing, that I think undercuts the fact that corporate SA, yes, they're not investing as they should. That's very clear. But it's because they're working in the background to fix. And also they are also asking government, can we meet each other halfway and fix this thing quickly?
Yes.
Because we should all be driving to the same point. 3% economic growth.
Yes.
Beginning of the year, we said that. Then we had budget 1.0, which was not even close to 3%, but it came there. Budget 2.0, budget 3.0, we forgot about 3% growth rate, right? So I think there needs to be some proper growth in the country to start seeing these investments coming through.
Sure. If you were president, what would your top 3 priorities be?
So let me say this first thing first. So I last saw the president of the country in March at a Banapili ECD program launch. This man looked exhausted. Guys, his eyes were red. He went from there. He was going to Eastern Cape. And I'm like, this old man is exhausted. I don't want to be in his shoes at any point in life. But going back to your question, if I was president, I think I'll go back to my core. We need to stop the culture of accepting under-par performance in government. It's not acceptable. It's not acceptable that potholes are okay. It's not acceptable. That we are shocked
and
by...
we're just so skilled.
No.
We snake drive on the
No,
road.
it's not acceptable. It's under par that, we accept that robots are not working. It's under par. That can't be acceptable. So we need to change the culture of excellence, or instill a culture of excellence in government across. And it won't be easy. It's intention, right leadership from national, provincial, local. That must be the big overhaul that must be done by everyone in government. That's the first thing that I think is important, because that'll accelerate everything else. 2, I think we're in a challenging space right now geopolitically, because we were always the ham and the sandwich. We played with everybody quite nicely, the East and the West. And, we were always the ham and sandwich. I think now, either we need to reset and be clear about who we are and how we play in the globe, and stop the trickery, because we are blurring the lines too much and it's too gray. So we need to stop that and be clear. Okay, fine. If we're playing with everybody, let's play nicely with everybody and still grow.
Yeah.
If we are Dubai, let's be Dubai. Let's invest more, let's save more, let's do that. I don't see that clarity. And I think the third one, and all of them are soft stuff, because the big things, I think they are happening in the right places, just acceleration, it needs to happen. The third one, I think brand South Africa and invest SA. Hi man, because I'm not clear about who we are and what our brand is at South Africa. Those two places need to be clear. And I make this example because if you were to listen to Rwanda telling their story, it's clear. You go to Rwanda, it's clean. They are small. They had the massacre in 1993. Look at where they are now. We are big. We're meant to be the boot of Africa, the pathway of Africa, but we are letting others overrun us and overtake us. We need to go back to that culture of excellence. We need to go back to, guys, let's be proud of who we are. Something has gone missing there. So for me, I would focus on the softer things first, but the first one is getting my government team right. That team must be for Team SA. Fix the things. Get the culture right. We can't accept lack of performance. We can't accept things that are under par. That's what I'd say.
Sure. Well said, Mpumi. In closing, your message to hardworking people out there who maybe feel anxious about opportunities and just their livelihoods. What would your message of encouragement be?
Sure, that's a tough one. I think it's tough being alive right now, but we live and we learn. But more seriously, we have a very special opportunity as people, as parents, young people in the world today, because we've got the globe as our stage. We don't have South Africa only as our stage or Africa only. We've got the globe as our stage. We need to start looking and seeing opportunity bigger. The example that I'll make is this whole analogy of, if there were two saleswomen or salespeople coming to a place, one says, because I sell shoes, I want to sell shoes to people that live there. And when they get there, no one is wearing shoes. And they say, this country doesn't want to buy any shoes. They don't wear shoes. The other one comes and says, wow, what a great opportunity. They don't wear shoes. I think that's what's missing. We are not seeing the opportunities that are out there for us. I think Africa and South Africa, we've got the lowest median population in the world. We should be servicing the world. We should be the workers, the creators of the globe.
It should be vibey here.
And it should be vibey here because we've got the youngest population across the globe. We need to be able to use that. And if you're a young person, don't see yourself only as a South African or only as limited to your township or your space. You've got the world as your oyster. What can you do with what you have and your talent in the world, and invest in yourself? It's not going to be easy. You must sacrifice. There's pain, there's what, but invest in yourself and go out in the world.
Have a plan.
Yeah, and be impactful.
My friend, thank you. It's been a pleasure, and I learned a lot in this session.
Thank you so much for the conversation. It was a lot. But hopefully, it impacts.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Thanks for listening. And until the next time, keep steady, keep strong, and have a game plan. Cheers.
TebZAR.